In this video, there was like multiversal stuff. So there's like times where there's different Big Bardas from different universes that interact in the DCAU continuity Batman Beyond comics. If I bring up her feats, just know they should be interchangeable. They're literally the same character from alternate realities. They're equal, you know. So if I bring up this girl's feats, yeah, it should apply to her anyway. Big Barda from alternate reality, same powers and everything, right? Just throwing it out there. Y'all remember the DC Animated Universe version of the Justice League? And y'all remember how in the future events, the Batman Beyond stuff, there was like a totally different roster of the Justice League of different characters, continuing the Justice League legacy. I would like to call it Justice League Beyond, one could say, but in the future. Like the Justice League in the future, basically. Even though the original Superman from DC Animated Universe is still Superman here, though, which is cool. Today, I want to talk about a character that's like the new Wonder Woman, I guess, of the group. An apocalyptic warrior, Big Barda. Doesn't have the most screen time, but she has a lot more occasions than you would expect, thanks to the comic lore, and shout out to DC for giving the Batman Beyond universe an official universe in the new multiverse. Like, I love the organization DC did with the multiverse map, giving the Batman Beyond universe Earth 12 their official world. This is basically the DC Animated Universe, basically, but in the future, you know, of course. I mean, this doesn't take rocket science, but since she was a part of Darkseid's elite guard, this is normal to comic continuity, so the same concept applies in the DC Animated Universe. You know, similar to the main continuity comics, the DCAU is no different when it comes to Barda. She loves Mr. Miracle, you know, they're together in this universe as well. Like, yeah, they really like each other. It's literally stated here, Apocalypse breed strong women. Big Barda talks about I and my mother before me. Darkseid was going across finding good fighters, recruiting good fighters. They had to be beaten, trained, and broken. This kind of stuff is partly the reason why she's one of those powerhouses that can actually fight. It was Barda's mother that gained their attention and favor as a skilled warrior. Her mother's name was Big Barda, ascending the ranks to become one of the Apocalypse's greatest warriors. Her name also carried other significance. She would use to breed a new generation of warriors using her advanced genome. And what was kind of messed up is that she was never allowed to choose the fathers for her offspring. She was carefully monitored to breed only under lab conditions and then return back to the battlefield. But yeah, her mother actually found a way to find love under these harsh conditions. And this is pretty much how the Big Barda that I'm making a video about today came to be. Her name meaning is birthed on the battlefield, a Barda. And long story short, of course, Big Barda ended up getting trained with Granny Goodness, raised her in her school, being raised with Granny Goodness instead of her actual mother. So that's when Big Barda started rising the ranks. And they would do raids, and during the raids, that's when she met the love of her life, ordered to capture him, but they would do macking behind the scenes based on the shadow. That's when Big Barda helped him escape, joined him, no longer took orders from Granny or Darkseid. From that point on, she was branded a traitor. Away from Apocalypse, she could start again a new genesis, a forbidden love that led to marriage. Earth would be her new home. She eventually made a deal to where she conveniently got exiled. She just had to remain on Earth as a part of the deal. Superman offered her a home with the League, a place to be put to use, and a chance to clear my name while protecting this planet, but Apocalypse breeds strong women. I mean, it's literally stated here, she's Barda, a new god born on Apocalypse. And thanks to stuff like this, it's kind of hard to transmute her. They even say it in this particular situation, why didn't you change? Her body's harder to change because of her new god physiology. She even talks about here, she's faced the Omega effect and Darkseid. There's moments Big Barda reminds me of Thor in the DCAU. In this particular situation, she says, to me, Furies, for New Genesis, for Apocalypse. Like, doesn't that sound like for Odin, for Asgard? You know what I mean? Like, you got handbooks that pretty much say what I already told you. It pretty much tell her lore about how she's from Apocalypse. Yeah. In this particular occasion, Barda, you see how she looks when it comes to her age compared to Superman, who has a gray streak. Superman is at least old enough to be a grandfather, apparently. But thanks to her physiology, she might actually be older, she says, to let you know that, yeah, she ages well, thanks to her physiology. Aging even better than Superman, being older, technically. Like, normally she prefers to wear some type of armor, one could say a uniform type of thing that kind of reminds you of the gods or the apocalyptic nature she's a part of. And the way she just suits up is epic, don't lie, with the cape. But she's ridiculously strong without it. It's not like she needs that gear to be strong. She's physically a powerhouse. She has gear I'm going to go over in this video. In the comic lore, they dissected a little more on how this staff has energy projection. She even says taste plasma. I mean, in fact, her gear is so crazy. I'll probably bring this back up later. But the blasters can actually affect Kryptonian tiers, even top tier Kryptonians like Superman himself. So they're potent, even blasting through robots. She's also not afraid to just straight hit you with melee type combat, staff type combat, one could say, with concussive hits. So yeah, she can hit hard with her super strength. And her staff is actually strong enough to help support the building. She's one of those characters I respect because she actually is strong as heck, but can fight. Like, she legit be going through training sessions and stuff. She's able to use agility and stuff and shoot with accuracy and such. Marksmanship. You gotta respect it. Reminds you a lot of Wonder Woman, right? She has to be able to fight because she's always going up for close quarters combat. And if she couldn't fight, why would they be asking her to lead the Furies? You know, this group of female warriors, apocalyptic warriors, they want her to lead them, so you know she's a great fighter. She has little tech or gear that kind of make her kind of float or fly, one could say, to help these people right here, for example. I mean, her staff can kind of make her float like this in ram beings. Thanks to her apocalyptic nature, she has boom tubes for teleportation. Her mother box can do other techie stuff like identify specific psychic energy signatures. The super strength she has, she's already bigger than normal humans. She can lift up normal humans with one arm with ease. I mean, these are technically little lidocaines of her strength. Holding up a being with one arm is harder than you think. And this is considered a joke to her strength. There was like these whole bunch of thugs, right, with guns. And she talks about how they're heavily armed, but she could snap those thugs like twigs, implying their body's weak compared to her raw muscle. I mean, she can easily manhandle humans, but also beings that are not humans like parademons she can easily handle. So that kind of makes sense. You see how she lifts these little big dogs up. Beings like Calabac, you know, Calabac's abnormally large. She can easily hold him up with one arm. Like there's occasions like this when Batman Beyond was going berserk, there was implications that for the most part, he couldn't really hurt her, implying they're in different tiers. If there's vehicles about to ram into her, she can stop both of them with laughable ease. When it comes to vehicles and their engines, she can lift above her head. Even things like this, with like in this occasion with Starfire, helping lift or build something heavy. I'm pretty sure nobody in this video is doubting the fact she can lift up vehicles, right? She can lift at least 2 tons. All kinds of steel or debris we know she can lift up. There's implications she can lift up heavier stuff than cars. Like this particular occasion where it's implied she's literally bending the tank up or just tank in general. Yeah, this should be light work. She can lift 50 or 60 plus tons as a bare minimum, wouldn't you agree? Like you see this wooden crap right here? There's like these elephant creatures, these mutated creatures. Like these beings, they are monsters. There was something Superman was holding. He was occupied while this person was in danger. It shows that Barda has crazy strength to where she can lighten the load for Superman to where she stops these big creatures instead. And that thing that Superman's holding up, she even says, she said right here, she will fix the grandstand. Now let Superman stop the panic. So you see all this BS he's holding up. It's hard to tell how much this weighs, but it's proven that she can hold it up too with her super strength. When we're talking about her raw strength, this building was collapsing. She was able to help support the weight of this building. This is pretty much self-explanatory, honestly. Yeah. I mean, we're already just getting started, and it's already pretty much proven that the DC Animated Universe version of Big Barda is strong enough to more than likely support or lift thousands of tons or even 100s, thousands of tons, you know, supporting the weight of a building. Her gear is able to do similar stuff, you know, standard stuff you've seen in my DCAU videos before. In this comic right here, for example, there was literally like this dang near building sized bot, right? I mean, look how small normal people look in comparison to it, right? You see in this occasion, this thing was trying to grab Big Barda despite the massive size difference. Even though it's called a potent weapon of mass destruction, Barda says she's also a weapon of mass destruction, saying, so am I. And kind of messes up this giant hand with her raw strength. Further proving she can overpower building size structures. What the heck would her punches feel like? You got occasions like this, you see a version of Superman. I'm gonna get back to this later, but there's implications because of occasions like this. This could imply that she's even stronger than being able to lift over hundreds of thousands of tons as well. With all this raw strength to be able to lift a lot of weight, it's quite obvious she can use this strength in combat to kick hard, to hit really hard with her melee weapons. That's why thick walls like this, for example, she can just hit down like this. I mean, if she can support the weight of a building, is it really surprising she can hit through thick walls like this one, for example? It would be strange if she couldn't do something like this. Yeah, brick walls is an easy thing for her. Other dark side generals like Granny Goodness she steals off on. There's plenty of occasions of her blast power when it comes to a rod breaking up robots and stuff. We've seen plenty of occasions of her shattering or chopping metal or inanimate objects while multitasking while shooting here, for example. Her using her gear just to fly through metal and such. She can just hit hard, hitting beings with her melee weapon. You see, there was like this fountain right here. Aquagirl is using the water in it right here. Big Barda has the raw punching power to punch through such fountains, hit the ground so hard. With her melee weapon implied to make like a little shockwave blast or something. Lex bots ganging up on her won't cut it, even if there are other superhuman type entities. So she can hit hard, but she can also withstand a lot of what she can hit too. Even when beings that are larger than her hit her, she can bounce back after it. Yeah, if you're not enhanced to some degree, she'll just hit you and send you flying to where you basically can't do nothing back. If you're parademons, robots, men, deities, beings with armor, beings made of stone, parademons, it doesn't matter, she'll punch you away. And do this to the concrete. So it's laughably obvious. that she can easily tremble buildings with her punches. That's a dud. I literally showed her lifting a building or supporting the weight of a building in the same video. Imagine what her punches feel like. She would easily tilt a building over with her punches, blah, blah, blah. She's faced plenty of beings that are similar to her in strength and durability. She can dish out a lot and can take a lot. We know for a fact she can punch and damage Orion, other deities. You guys remember how earlier how I brought this up? This is kind of crucial. Well, this is where the stuff gets a little sticky. She's one of those characters that don't have as much screen time, so there's some assumptions you have to make based on the character she fights, of course. A good way to understand her might is the beings she's headlocking or the beings that she has to compete against in raw strength. Like, you guys know about the multiverse. There's like different universes, versions of the same characters. You guys are probably familiar with Justice League Unlimited Superman, right? You know how Justice League Unlimited Superman has a future version of himself. It's the same guy, just the future. Both these beings have absurd feats and their feats should align with one another because it's just the same guy, just older. And then you got the Justice Lord Superman that's from another dimension, which they all are comparable to each other. They all interact and fight each other. This is important for Big Barda because she's basically the Wonder Woman of the group of the Justice League in the future. All this information is important to understanding the true might of Big Barda. Even though she lacks screen time, there's some narrative and writer intent we got to analyze. Like, I'm not trying to say she's like necessarily equal to Lord Superman, but the fact that she's not a featherweight or just dead weight, none of these people are really, none of the powerhouses are at least. I would give Superman the edge still. She's not far behind in brute strength, right? Lord Superman is not the type of character to hold back. We've seen her straight up get punched from this darker version of Superman and not die, showing her durability to such powerful foes that can punch this hard. And then you got scans like this that show how durable she is, getting hit by these Kryptonian level beings. Remember, this Lord Superman, even though he's from another universe, is pretty much equal to DC Animated Universe Superman. Like, all these Superman over here and over here are equal to each other. So her being able to withstand hits from him, and this is a Superman that doesn't hold back, that's ridiculously impressive. Yes, these scans speak for themselves. Not to mention that Big Barda got into like a friendly sparring match with Superman from the future, like the future version of him. Like, these are the same beings that have the strength. Stated in the handbook for, you know, this version of Superman, DC Animated Universe, even his younger self, it's stated in his guidebook to have the strength along with Green Lantern to help move the entirety of Earth's moon, a planetoid-sized structure. This isn't just in this handbook because this is a feat that actually happened on comic panel with Green Lantern and Superman working together in the DC Animated Universe, them moving the planetoid Earth's moon, and they're trying to imply that Big Barda's on the level with these Kryptonian type level beings, like DC Animated version of Superman. Even older Superman has feats like this. See, there was like this kryptonite moon. Yes, a kryptonite moon. This Superman, the older Superman, had to wear a super suit to protect against the radiation, but this was like a literal kryptonite moon, planetoid type structure. He was still able to move this crazy planetoid type structure into the sun, like our actual moon. He was able to push and move. Like, all these Supermen are comparable in strength. There's no exact math for this, but like, if we wanted to be honest, I give Superman the advantage, right? Let's just get that out of the air. But the way the writing style is, the way the show implies, there's implications that she's not that far behind. So just say, like, if these are the grids for all these other Supermen, they can all lift planets or move moon-sized structures. It's like one of them situations, even if she's not exactly equal, she can't be like a gazillion times weaker. She should be able to move at least 80% of what they can do, 90%, 95%. But she's below them, but not a million times below them, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you? You know what I'm saying? She should be somewhere in that ballpark. So let's just look at it like this in this picture. If all these Supermen have the strength to move a planetoid like the moon, wouldn't it be fair to say she can move maybe a smaller version of the moon, or a slightly smaller moon-sized structure planetoid too, meaning she could lift a moon or a smaller version of a moon or something in that ballpark, even if Superman's above her, right? It's one of those situations, yeah, sure, we haven't actually seen her move the moon, but the writer's implying she's somewhere in his ballpark. She should be able to move a moon-sized structure, planetoid, even a smaller moon-type structure, by default, just being somewhere in his ballpark. And when you put all this into consideration, that makes you wonder, how hard can she hit if she can, in theory, technically do what they can do, lift a small moon-sized structure too? How hard would her hits feel like? Moon trembling? What do you think? But the fact that she's able to have a friendly contest with him implies that her strength shouldn't be that far behind him. And this evil Superman, Justice Lord Superman, is a Superman that doesn't hold back, and she's withstanding hits without dying, punching deities like herself. If you watch the Justice League Unlimited show, you know Lord Superman does not play no games. She's able to withstand and block attacks from beings like this. That says a lot about her raw power or just durability in general. This right here is the same Superman that moved the kryptonite moon, and she's having a friendly fist fight with him. He punched her back here. Despite her getting hit by an older Superman that debatably might even be stronger than his younger self, she punches back to show that she's not a featherweight. Yeah, she can definitely tremble the moon, guys. But what if I told you this stuff gets worse? Uh-oh. We know these two are equal because they're basically the same being, one younger, one older. Same powers and everything. What if I told you, younger Superman, in newer events, we get some crazy lore on his durability. There was like this super orb that had all the Green Lantern's battery in it that was going to rip apart the sun. I'll let them say it for me.
Destroy their sun. We destroy the sun. The eye. It contains all the power of the Lantern's battery. It will rip that infernal star apart.
And Superman's literally right next to this orb that was going to rip apart the sun while in the sun. Made a huge shockwave and Superman got hit by it point blank. No, this was not an exaggeration. The sun was getting ripped apart, guys. So that moon shaking stuff is definitely nowhere near her max. And she's apparently damaging a being to some degree. This is a friendly sparring session. She's apparently damaging a being, Superman of the future. When his younger self did that, this same Superman's younger self was still a blast that would have ripped apart the sun at point blank range, and she could do some damage to him. Wouldn't that mean her punches are almost as dangerous as something way scarier than Earth or something? Because we know the Earth and sun are drastically different when it comes to the size. Something up here that was going to destroy all of this. Even if you don't want to say her punches are as strong as this up here, look how tiny Earth, like her punches would have to be more devastating than Earth to even damage somebody that can withstand blast that was going to rip apart the sun, guys. Saying her punches would shake the Earth is actually kind of disrespectful. This will make Earth look like a joke. We actually have to start talking about her being able to level or tremble even bigger planets like Saturn or Jupiter or something. And even these large planets are not as big as the sun itself. Her fist would technically feel worse than a dozen Earths slamming in your face. She should be able to tremble large planets like Jupiter or Saturn with her hits with all this new information. And do we even have to get on her blast power or her gear? Her Mega Rods seems to be able to do just as potent stuff as her fist when it comes to the power output, because we've seen her blasts are potent enough to damage this older Superman with blast power. So not only can she hit hard with just melee hits or strikes, like planetary or above earth-shattering strikes, but you got to worry about her Mega Rod, her blast power being just as potent. That's scary to think about her being this dangerous, her fist and her just gear. I'm pretty sure you can adjust the levels of it to where it's not this potent all the time, though. She really lacks showings, not too many flashy speed showings to talk about really, though. But yeah, she can hit ridiculously hard. I see no reason why she doesn't have combat speed. She has no problem keeping up with these beings in combat speed. Her fighting speed should be way faster than bullets, lightning, all that good stuff that I've shown in my DCAU Superman vids. You know, all that stuff should apply to her too. I mean, for Pete's sake, she's a trained fighter that's always training. It would be weird if she didn't have combat speed. That's kind of important for a warrior to have. You see in a training session, whoop, 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 dodging them. I could be crazy, guys, but yeah, her hits would feel like the equivalent of large planets landing on your face, basically multiple at that. She can hurt beings that can withstand blasts from something that can rip a star apart, guys. That's ridiculous. These fists would be heavy on your face if she didn't hold back. But what do you guys think, though? DCAU Big Barda is still kind of crazy. Not as strong as her comic self from the main continuity and Rebirth post-crisis stuff, but she's still decently impressive still. Still a planet buster. But what do you guys think? Before I get going, though, shout out to you guys that help donate to the channel. It helps out. Believe it or not. Respect her ridiculous new god strength. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.